Righto, what is happening, guys? Welcome back to the stable. It is Tommy this time again, and we're going to talk about Supercoach, but we're going to do a little bit different this time. I'm going to jump into my team, Collingwood. We're going to focus on the Collingwood. Let's talk Collingwood. There's a little bit to get through and a little bit to discuss because obviously when we're looking for these pods and we're looking for particular players for our Supercoach team, we need to identify the potential pods in each club. Now, the thing is, with every single year, players change position, people are playing in different roles, and it's hard to find those gems. That's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to go through our teams and try find these gems that are going to pop up and potentially make that jump from what they had the year previously. It's really hard to find sometimes, but when you support a particular club, and being that mine is Collingwood, you do know the ins and outs and what's sort of going to happen for the next season, and positional changes and where players are going to play, and structure changes and things like that. And it might unlock certain players. So we're just going to have a little look through, and I'm going to talk to you about a certain few players that might be not on your radar, but you might start to think, okay, well, maybe I should put them in. Can I get them in? Can I fit them in? And where they fit, because they might get a DDP earlier through the season because they're not playing in these particular positions. So it's just one to keep an eye out. This is my team at the moment. It's a little bit different than what my previous video we showed. I've got a few changes. I'm trying to get that pod. You know, like I've seen a lot of teams through these videos of Supercoach, and I see a lot of the same stuff. Everyone seems to have the same side. So I'm trying to go a little bit different. It's hard to do that, especially when there's no pracky games been played yet and we haven't seen anybody on the park, so it's hard to try get those picks. But I'm trying to stay with a team that's relatively different to a lot. Like a lot of people, instead of going Sinclair, they're going Wangani Miller. A lot of people are going Whitfield or Ash, and so I'm trying to keep that back three a little bit different. And then in the midfield, a lot of people staying off Sarong. I haven't seen a lot of Sarong picks, but he's so damn good, and he has a relatively good run. Not many that early buy. Once that's out of the way, he's got a pretty good run. Gordon obviously is a good pick. Callahan really hasn't been picked a lot. So yeah, look, that's not really what we're talking about today. We're talking about Collingwood, but let's just take a couple out just to explain what I'm talking about here. So let's just take Clark out for example. And what I want to talk about is this little player here, Josh Daicos. Now we know how good his brother is, Nick. Nick will be in a lot of people's teams, but at that price this early, I think that Nick is probably one to stay away from because Nick gets tagged consistently. Near enough every game, someone tries to go to him. So there will be games early on where Nick might not be polling that really super high vote, so he may drop down. I've seen it before. It happened last year. He dropped pretty low, well into the around this price of Josh Daicos, really, and you can get him. But we're talking about Josh. It is being talked about within Collingwood and within the training setup that Josh is going to play midfield this year. Now, if that's the case, he is definitely a player that you want to keep your eye on because you can get him into the defence real early. 525, and at 525 as a defender, playing off that half back, you'd probably go for other options. Like there's better options here. You'd probably go, Dale, Zorko, Laird, Clark. I have Clark, and obviously the Primo's at the top. So he becomes that player off the half back that's not super used. But if he plays the midfield, and if he's going to play the minutes in the middle, and the word is just to add something different in the middle there, because obviously the likes of side bottom Pendlebury are getting that little bit older. We do have some fresh midfield talent coming through, but they're not obviously at that A grade. Josh is an A grader, and we saw from little parts last year when he did go through the middle, he was really, really good. He's just a little bit different to Nick. Just doesn't play the same. He's got, I'd argue, he's probably got a little bit more flair. He's just a little bit different on the ball. So if he is in the middle, he's just one to keep an eye on. And what that does, and this is why I want to take Josh out, what that does if Josh plays in the middle is you're going to see the likes of Houston getting a lot more than 79. That 79 average last year. Dan Houston 431 right now. You're probably looking at that going, that's not someone I want to go with. But the issue for Dan Houston is when he played for us last year, we couldn't really find that role for him. Josh Daicos was predominantly that running half back and got a lot of the ball, and Houston wasn't. Now, one thing to notice with Houston is that when he played for Port the last two seasons prior to joining Collingwood, he got 105 and 106 on an average. So that's very high. That's a score that you'd love to have. And that's just one to keep your eye on. I'm thinking that maybe that first game, just see how it goes. See how Dan Houston goes at the back. Because if he's playing half back and Josh is playing in the middle, he's definitely one to keep your eye on. Let's go on to Ned Long. Well, obviously Ned Long's not going to be in the defence, so we can, for example, drop Young or type Long in. Long is going to be playing all the minutes in the middle. There was a lot of selection issues with Long and Mitchell early on for Collingwood, and then they decided to obviously stick with Long. Now, he got 77 last year, but as his average. But there was a lot of games there where he broke 110. He's a tackling monster. He just needs to get a little bit better with the disposal. He's a little bit inefficient. He does give it away, does turn it over. But he's going to benefit from a whole year playing. He looks fitter. He looks stronger. 420,000 could be an option there for you. And then another one that I like that really doesn't get any noise is Patrick Lipinski. Doesn't look like a lot there on the average, but a 399. This man was the most effective ball user inside 50 for Collingwood. He's really effective. He's really efficient, and that obviously helps in Super. And he's going to be playing, you would think, a lot more because we need some more midfield guns. Because the likes, like I said, Pendlebury's being touted to go back to half back. So if that's true, and he's playing half back a little bit more, probably going to be that that general. Then the types of Lipinski, your Ned Longs, they're the ones to pick up for Collingwood if you want. You don't have to go Collingwood. I'm just giving you an option. But Josh Daicos is going to look like to play midfield this year. We'll watch that first simulation. I want to see where he is. If he's playing through the middle, Josh Daicos in the middle for you is going to be a good option at 522 because he's going to get lots of ball. There's no doubt about that because if the pressure goes to Nick, Josh is going to clean up, and then Dan Houston at the back off half back. So those are two I reckon you just need to keep your eye on. But that's about wraps it up. We're just going to go for a quick one here. We're talking about Collingwood. We'll do some more teams. I want to make a video on the doggies and particularly Ed Richards. I need to talk about that. There's a little bit of a gem here with Ed Richards, particularly late in the season. So I might talk about that soon. But anyway, that about wraps up, guys. Just want to talk about Collingwood. Josh and Dan Houston could be sneaky gems. But anyway, that about wraps it. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Peace out.